So they're going to tax empty houses. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your cup of coffee. Let's check out this article discussing a push to tax empty homes. Now, I've heard it many times before, people talk about the million empty homes in Australia that people refuse to rent out. A lot of them are in locations where you don't want to rent them out, or maybe they're people's holiday homes that they don't want to rent out. We still have some individual choice here in Australia. We want to maintain that. We want to push for that while we can. Let's pretend. So let's check out this article from Yahoo News. Hundreds to be taxed for empty homes. Owners of homes that sit vacant for more than 6 months a year will be ordered to cough up extra tax, the Victorian government has announced. How are they going to argue? What? So if someone stays there one night, if it's a B&B for one night, you have a friend over, or it's your holiday home? From January 1, homeowners across the state will be liable for vacant residential land tax if properties are vacant for more than 6 months in the calendar year. Victoria racked up so much debt, and they just need to find ways to hoover it back up. Here you go. This is a vote winner. You get a whole bunch of people that are jealous of other people. If someone that has a house, they'll get jealous. And they go, oh, good. Get the tall poppy syndrome going. Yes, whittle them down. Another tax them. It'll never affect me. Sweet summer child. The tax currently only applies to homes in the inner and middle suburbs of Melbourne, with the state government identifying hundreds of apartments that have been left vacant through a recent investigation. Authorities in Victoria recently targeted 5 apartment buildings in Melbourne and found 177 properties that were liable for the tax. The investigation will now expand to 13 more apartment towers across the city, as well as houses in the inner and middle suburbs of Melbourne. And this is why when I see people talking about they're worried about digital ID or they're worried about the cash ban, getting more government control. Guys, look at this. I mean, come on. They're already all up in your lives and your business. If it's not the government, it's your neighbour calling and dobbing you in. That's Australia. A huge-ass bloody nanny state. You think it'll make any difference? The tax was introduced to help ease the housing crisis by encouraging homeowners to rent their properties for at least 6 months of the year to avoid receiving a VRLT assessment. So, okay, they are punishing you for choosing to keep your property in an unoccupied condition. Wouldn't that suck? If you were planning to move in there, something else happened, you just kept it empty for 7 months of the year, boom, you get taxed. The longer a home sits empty, the more tax rates increase, based on the number of consecutive years the property sits vacant. So why are we even bothering then selling stuff to people? Let's just go full WEF. Let's just go, like Singapore, you only rent the house off the government for $100,000. Just do that. Come on, Victoria, go full commie. You know you want it. Just head down there, keep going, chipping away at it. Take those rights away one at a time. Victorian Treasurer Tim Pallas said the government knows Victoria needs more homes, and by cracking down on vacant properties, they were easing the housing pressures being felt across the state. I'd love to see some actual statistics of how many people were driven to rent out properties because of it. And of those, how many did it legitimately and how many just didn't chonk it some way. Expanding the vacant residential land tax will free up empty homes for rent and sale, boosting supply and making homes more affordable, he said. Yeah, let's see if that happens. But Shadow Treasurer Brad Roswell disagreed, saying after 10 years of Labor budgets, life was getting harder for Victorians and housing was becoming more unavailable and unaffordable. Well, I mean, the people are voting. They keep voting. They voted in Andrews again for a second time. I'm shocked. But they did. You get what you vote for, guys. This is a manifestation of the will of the Victorian people. Why do you think property prices are stagnating there and people are leaving the state? Since Labor were elected, they've introduced or increased 55 taxes, including around 30 taxes on land and property, he said. Yeah, this is all. I need to add this to my pillars of the housing market. Government derives tax revenue from property prices, directly or indirectly. another incentive to ensure that the market remains buoyant. What Labor seems to can't understand is that when they tax things, they get more expensive, and ultimately it's vulnerable Victorians that are hit the hardest. I honestly don't think the average Australian, I mean, you've got to remember, what's the average IQ? 100? So half of the people out there that you encounter are below that. I don't think they actually have the capacity to understand complex issues. I think it's beyond them. But what is it when you're sub 80, you can't even, the military won't even hire you, or Jordan Peterson spoke about it. I think a significant number of Australians cannot understand complex issues when it comes around, when it's to do with topics like this. You know, even trying to explain the negatives of introducing rent caps. I don't think they'd get it. I do not think they'd get it. A tax system that incentivizes properties to be on the long-term rental market rather than continuing to push rental providers or punish rental providers with higher taxes is something that Labor should consider as a matter of urgency. Authorities in Victoria recently targeted 5 apartment buildings in Melbourne and found 177 properties that were liable for the tax. So, Community Housing Industry Association Victoria Chief Executive Sarah Toohey said during the worst housing crisis that Victorians have experienced in their lifetimes, we shouldn't be in a situation where properties are sitting empty. Housing stress and homelessness is through the roof. Right now, more than 146,000 Victorian households are in need of social and affordable housing. Okay, this is not the fault of probably a few Chinese investors sitting on their inner city Melbourne apartments. This is not the fault of them. Okay, that's bullshit. Whose job is it to build social housing? It's not the federal government. It's not the local councils. Whose is it? It's the government that's punishing all of you with your taxes. It's the Andrews government, Victorian government, 10 years. How many have they built? Last time we looked at it, it was pathetic. We need to be doing everything we can, like taxing vacant properties and boosting funding to build more community housing to make sure all Victorians can get a roof over their heads. If they really wanted to get more community housing, they need to provide incentives for developers to incorporate it into their development. Maybe give them a few extra stories. Maybe reduce the headworks charges. Now let's have a chat about this one, guys. Another tax. Another tax. What do you reckon, guys? Do you think this will work? Or do you think it'll backfire? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.